everybody. So I'm Angus, right? I also go by Angus by design. And if you're brand new, well, this is just a practice that I have where I read from a book. Right now I'm reading the Insight Meditation, The Practice of Freedom. This was written by Joseph Goldstein. And I'm going to be starting chapter 2. And then what I've been doing as part of my practice is drawing a card for inspiration and reflection. What I've been doing is using a deck that's called the Gaia Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. And really it's just what I do is I use it as a tool to take what I've written or take what I've read, and then just to see how it ties in, right? So the underlying principle behind it and the tool that I use is called, it's a cognitive behavioral therapy skill, and it's called Catch, Check, Change. So the idea is that, I take this in for reflection and practice and relaxation to cultivate mindfulness, and then I reflect on it and see how I feel. The goal is to do it in under an hour so that I can repost it here. And I have a practice where I download it and I repost it. I put together a little intro and stuff like that. And then I post it onto YouTube. So welcome. You'll see in the background, so a little bit about me. I live in Ottawa, Canada. I've lived here for nearly 30 years. A mantra I use is, I'm dwelling in the heart of Centertown. That's where I currently live. I've been living here since 2020. And but again, having moved to Ottawa in 1996 on my birthday, on my 20th birthday. I am a bus operator number 5946 with OC Transpo. I started there in 2007. In 2018, I was placed on permanent disability status due to a number of factors, but including a series of assaults that I went through, especially between 2017 and 2018. So all of that is on the record. I am, if you follow me, you'll see I'm an artist. I'm pretty outspoken. I'm always out there. What I post might seem confusing at times, but hey, the whole world is confusing at times. So this practice, again, is, I'm just going to read a little bit of a book from Joseph Goldstein. I've got my Poke Me Pillsbury Doughboy shirt. I'm going to pull a card. What I like to do is, based on the practice that I've been doing since 2007 when I became a Reiki master. Reiki is just the idea of universal life energy, which means it's not specifically special to me or anybody else. It's the thing that we all have and we all tap into. Reiki as a practice is the act of connecting our own minds with our own bodies, and then of course sharing it with other people and then sharing it with the world. So if this resonates with you, the invitation is there for you to, you could send a little heart or put something in the chat box, whatever you want. This is a space that we can share, and it's really just a practice. So drinking some coffee, and I'm going to get started. So if anybody has anything they want to contribute at the end of the practice, I'll go through, and I like to sort of dedicate it to the people that are here. So without further ado, the book was written in 1993 and dedicated to those whose generosity and love of the Dharma has made possible so many things. So welcome. Chapter 2 is how to practice. So purpose, effort, and surrender. If you want to attach a physical practice to this, you can check in with your breathing. You can try to make yourself 1% more comfortable in whatever position you're in. And just feel free to make it your own. So, purpose, effort, and surrender. How can we have a goal in practice, feel inspired by a sense of purpose and direction, and yet avoid becoming caught in a tangle of straining and striving? This is a crucial question for anyone on a spiritual path. All of the choices we make in our life involve some kind of purpose and goal. A clear sense of destination helps us choose more wisely the path that leads there. So when we know our purpose for meditation, we begin to understand the great significance of the spiritual journey. And the understanding, in turn, gives us the necessary inspiration and energy to travel the path. The Buddha's teachings inspired the journey because he articulates so clearly where the path of practice leads to deeper levels of insight and freedom, to that purity and happiness of a mind-heart, free from grasping, free from hatred, and free from ignorance. If you want to heighten your effort and energy for this immense journey of freedom, you might try a few reflections that have great power. Try reflecting on that very fleeting, momentary nature of your experience. Although we may understand this truth intellectually, it takes caring, wise attention to see and feel it deeply. Where has all your experience gone? Moment after moment, it disappears. We may hold on to ideas or memories, but they too become just other passing ephemeral experiences. Given this great and obvious truth of impermanence, what is really of value in your life? What is really worth cultivating? This very reflection on impermanence motivated the Buddha to be able to seek enlightenment in his own momentous quest. Why should I? He asked while still a prince in his palace, who am subject to old age, disease, and death. Seek that which is also subject to old age, disease, and death. After his great awakening, the Buddha encouraged, exhorted, admonished others to feel the urgency that comes from knowing that all things pass away. There are trees and roots of trees, he told monks, nuns, and lay people. Meditate now, lest you regret it later. Trees provided convenient places to meditate in those days and in that climate. The Buddha knew so clearly just how fast our life goes by and how rare and precious a gift is the opportunity to practice, to awaken. Unless we use the time of our life well, we can be left with great with gnawing remorse, a feeling of having missed something of the greatest value. You can also reflect on what first awakened your interest in your own journey of understanding. Was it some deep experience of personal suffering? Was it compassion for the suffering of others? Was it some inner groping for meaning or purpose in your life? Sometimes we lose touch with what first inspired us. It can help us to reconnect to that initial interest and inspiration. Doing so can rekindle the fire of effort, of passion for this amazing path of waking up and becoming free. Without that fire of effort, nothing happens. We simply live out and act out all of the old habit patterns for our conditioning. It is extremely difficult to step outside these habits, to discern in a clear, fresh way what is actually occurring, and to make choices based on wisdom rather than on reactive conditioning. But efforts alone is not enough. Valuable as this quality is, it can also lead us astray if it is overdeveloped. We can become attached to the goal of enlightenment and become very ambitious with a kind of spiritual competitiveness or a strong self-judgment about our progress. We can strive and strain with an excessive urgency that can become desperation. Wanting something to happen right now gets in the way of clear seeing. It leads to frustration, disappointment, and even despair. Recognizing often through painful personal experience the difficulties that come from such a striving, expecting mind, many people discard the notion of goal altogether. This also is a mistake. If we abandon a sense of goal and become attached to the idea that practice is simply becoming aware and mindful in the moment, without any sense of destination, development, or deepening realization, then we lose a source of tremendous energy and inspiration. The critical balance we need to discover in meditation practice, and indeed in all aspects of your life, is the equipoise between effort and surrender. On this surface, these two qualities seem to contradict each other. So how can we make effort be purposeful and at the same time surrender to what is happening, to the natural unfolding of our experience? Grasping this paradox is a decisive turning point in coming to understand the whole spiritual journey. Surrender does not mean passive resignation. Rather, it means to surrender to the Dharma, to the truth of the moment's experience. Such acceptance enables us to make effort, to arouse energy, but without agitation or grasping. We have a sense of spiritual urgency while at the same time we soften and surrender to just what is happening in this moment. And then this, and then the next. In the early years of my meditation practice, I would cultivate this quality of surrender by reminding myself that my job on retreat was just to sit and walk. Sit and walk. Sit and walk. And then to let whatever happened happen. By upholding my side of the effort in this simple way, I was then able to surrender to all the ups and downs of practice. There were times that were smooth, easy, and wonderful, and there were times that were full of pain and difficulty. I just kept sitting and walking, and the Dharma continued to unfold. This balance of effort and surrender can be understood very simply. One night I walked on a path through the woods from my home to the meditation center next door. It was quite dark. Clearly, I had a definite purpose and goal in mind: to reach the building on the other side of the woods. That expectation set the direction, put me on the path, kept me going. But if I did anything more than pay careful attention to where I was placing each step in each moment, I started stumbling on the rocks and uneven ground. Or think of climbing a mountain. You need a balance of perspectives to keep you going, to keep you interested and energetic. You need to be aware of each step you take, of the ground beneath your feet. And at the same time, you need to hold a vision of the summit toward which you climb. By keeping the vision, the larger context of understanding why we are walking this great path, while at the same time paying accurate, precise attention to where we are in the moment, we find the balance and the energy to accomplish our liberation. So if you're just joining, this is a practice of just reading this book. I'm reading Insight Meditation, The Practice of Freedom by Joseph Goldstein. That's him from back when he wrote this book in 1993. He doesn't look like that now. He's a little bit older, but he's a really awesome, pretty cool human being. He does a lot of teaching of meditation. And so this says, Joseph Goldstein is a co-founder of the Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts. I'm really going to have to do a whole lesson on in Barre, Massachusetts. Barre, Mass. Where he is one of the resident guiding teachers. He's the author of The Experience of Insight, a simple and direct guide to Buddhist meditation, and co-author of Seeking the Heart of Wisdom, the Path of Insight Meditation. And then I'm going to pull a card from this book, from this card set, and it's the Gaia. And it's designed by Tony Carmine Salerno, who's an intuitive artist and author born in Melbourne, Australia. His often emotionally charged works explore and reflect the spirituality inherent within nature, our universe, and humanity. Gaia is the goddess of earth, the feminine, and is constant source of inspiration. Her beauty, love, and wisdom are reflected in all of his work, regardless of the subject matter. So I'll just keep reading. And then, of course, this practice, this space is dedicated to really anybody that comes in. No expectation. There's no... I'm often considered counterculture because I don't use these things the same way other people use them, meaning the TikTok, right? So training the heart. There has been an interesting discussion over the last 2,500 years about where consciousness resides. Does it reside in the brain? Does it reside in the heart? Without trying to provide a definitive answer to that question, I think it is useful at least to know that at times in meditative experience, there can be a strong sense of consciousness emanating from the heart center. Not the physical heart, but rather the psychic energy center in the middle of the chest. It may be that the energy of consciousness comes from the brain and is felt at the heart, or perhaps it starts at the heart center and is processed through the brain. So some Asian languages resolve this issue quite naturally by using exactly the same word for both heart and mind. When we say mind in the Buddhist sense, we do not mean just the brain or the intellect. Mind in this sense, sorry, my computer goes to sleep. I gotta change that setting. All right, thank you. All right, I'm just going to start up here. So some Asian languages resolve this issue quite naturally by using exactly the same word for both heart and mind. When we say mind in the Buddhist sense, we do not just mean the brain or the intellect. Mind in this sense means consciousness, the knowing faculty that which knows an object along with all of the mental and emotional feeling states associated with that knowing. States that can arise in different combinations in any particular moment. So in this meditative understanding, mind and heart are really the same thing. What then is the training of the heart? The transformation of consciousness. Consciousness is simply knowing. But along with each moment of knowing, different associated mental states may arise. The teachings have a lot to say about these states, unwholesome ones like greed, hatred, fear, and delusion, and wholesome ones such as mindfulness, compassion, love, and wisdom. We can understand the training of the heart as being what the Buddha called the four great efforts. In our practice, we make the effort to diminish the unwholesome mental states that have already arisen and to prevent those that have not yet arisen from arising. And conversely, we make the effort to strengthen those wholesome mental states that are already developed and to cultivate and develop the wholesome states that have not yet arisen. This then is the formula for transformation. So first we take a close look at this heart mind to see what is what. Through the careful practice of looking, we develop a discriminating wisdom so that we understand for ourselves what mental states are unskillful, that is, leading to suffering, and what states are skillful, leading to happiness. And based on our own experience, our own clear seeing, we begin to arouse these four great efforts. This is the training of the heart in which we are engaged. So just reading again from this book, it says the fruit of some 20 years experience leading Buddhist meditation retreats. This book touches on a wide range of topics raised repeatedly by meditators and includes favorite stories, key Buddhist teachings, and answers to the most asked questions. And I've just started chapter 2. The idea is that this is just a practice that I have where I read a book. I call it like incremental health. And then I'm going to pull a card. So meditation instructions. And this is, of course, an invitation, if you can hear this, to try it now. So sit comfortably with your back straight, but not stiff or tense. Gently close your eyes and feel the sensations of the breath as the air passes the nostrils or upper lip. The sensations of the in-breathing appear simply and naturally. Notice how the out breath appears, or you might choose to feel the movement of your chest or abdomen as the breath enters and leaves your body. Wherever you choose to follow the sensations of breathing, whether the in and out at the nostrils or the movement of the chest or abdomen, train your awareness to connect clearly with the first moment of the beginning in-breath. Then sustain the attention for the duration of just that one incoming breath. Connect again at the beginning of the out-breath and sustain your attention till the end. It is important not to become overly ambitious. We all have the capacity to feel one breath completely. But if we try to do more than that, if we have the idea that we are going to be mindful of our breathing for half an hour, then that is much too much. To sustain unbroken attention for that amount of time is far beyond the capacity of our minds, so we quickly become discouraged. Connect and sustain for just one breath. And then one more. In this way, you can work well within your capacity, and your mind will begin to concentrate simply and easily. At times, other objects will arise, physical sensations, thoughts, images, emotions. Notice how all these appearances arise and change in the open awareness of mind. Often we become distracted, lost in the display of experience, no longer mindful. As soon as you remember, come back to the simple state of awareness. It can be helpful in the beginning to focus primarily, although not exclusively, on the breath. Focusing in this way helps stabilize attention, keeping us mindful and alert. Bringing the mind back to a primary object, like the breath, takes a certain quality of effort, and that effort builds energy. It is like doing a repetitive exercise to develop muscular strength. You keep doing it and the body gets stronger. Coming back to the primary object is mental exercise. We come back to the breath again and again, and slowly the mind grows stronger and more stable. Our level of energy rises and we open to a more choiceless awareness. We perceive things in a more refined and powerful way. If at times you feel constriction or strain in the practice, it helps to settle back and open the field of awareness. Leave the breath for a while and simply notice in turn whatever arises at the 6 sense doors, the 5 physical senses and the mind. Hearing, seeing, pressure, tingling, thinking, or you can rest in an open, natural awareness, paying attention only to sounds appearing and disappearing. Widening the focus of attention in this way helps the mind come to balance and spaciousness. So you can also use the technique of mental noting to strengthen mindful awareness. The art of mental noting as a tool of meditation requires practice and experimentation. Labeling objects of experience as they arise supports mindfulness in many different ways. Noting should be done very softly, like a whisper in the mind, but with enough precision and accuracy so that it connects directly with the object. For example, you might label each breath silently, saying in, out, or rising, falling. In addition, you may also note every other appearance that arises in meditation. When thoughts arise, note thinking. If physical sensations become prominent, note pressure, vibration, tension, tingling, or whatever it might be. If sounds or images come to the foreground, note hearing or seeing. The note itself can be seen as another appearance in the mind, even as it functions to keep us undistracted. Labeling, like putting a frame around a picture, helps you recognize the object more clearly and gives greater focus and precision to your observation. Mental noting supports mindfulness in another way by showing us when awareness is reactive and when it is truly mindful. For example, we may be aware of pain in the body, but through a filter of aversion, without the tool of noting, we often do not recognize the aversion, which may be a subtle overlay on the pain itself. So the tone of voice of the mental note reveals a lot about our minds. You sit and note pain, but perhaps with a gritted teeth tone to the note. The tone makes obvious an actual state of mind. Quite amazingly, simply changing the tone of the note can often change your mind state. Hey, Brad. Good to see you, brother. So let's see here. I'll just finish this part of it and then I'll say hey. As you can see, all right, so be patient in learning to use this tool of practice. So sometimes people note too loudly and it overshadows the experience. Sometimes people try too hard, becoming tight and tense with the effort. Let the note float down on the object, like a butterfly landing on a flower, or let it float up with the object like a bubble rising. Be light, be soft, and have fun. So experiment with the technique of noting to find the most skillful way to use it. At one time in my walking practice, as I took each step slowly and mindfully, I abbreviated all the notes to the first letter. Instead of noting, lifting, moving, and placing, I started noting I, M, P, L, M, P. The notes seem to slide effortlessly along, right on top of each movement of the step. Yet, the purpose of the noting, to keep the mind fixed and steady for the entire duration of the step or the breath, was served. So investigate the technique for yourself. If at times you feel, or if you find the noting interferes too much, or it's too slow for the rapidity of change, stop labeling for a while. See what happens. Play with the volume. Play with abbreviating it. Understand that it is a tool and learn for yourself how best to use it. Observe whether it helps keep a sustained attention or not. See for yourself how the noting functions. Be flexible and enjoy the exploration. Awesome to see you, Brad. So far I've been practicing for 34 minutes. The practice being to read this book, which is Insight Meditation, The Practice of Freedom by Joseph Goldstein. I have been listening and learning from Joseph Goldstein for like what feels like 100 years now. The next part is called Nintendo Dreams. I'll probably read for another, like maybe 10 minutes or so. And then I have this Gaia card deck, which is like reflections. And it's like another reflection card. So why don't it's quite, okay, so we'll listen, or I'll do Nintendo Dharma. Wonder if I can get, I'm gonna try to get as far as, because it's Nintendo Dharma and then acceptance. So let me try to hammer those off in this time, okay? All of this is gonna be reposted. I posted all of it to YouTube, so if you want. So Nintendo Dharma, you may have noticed how easy it is to stay present when you engage in an activity you enjoy, like playing some sport, watching a movie, reading a book, or even playing Nintendo. Why can we be so concentrated in these activities and yet find ourselves distracted and restless when we meditate? Surprisingly, this simple question can lead us to a profound understanding of suffering and freedom. What we call mind is the natural, pure knowing faculty, invisible, clear, and lucid. In some Tibetan texts, it is called the cognizing power of emptiness, but mind includes more than just knowing, because in each moment of experience, different qualities or mental factors arise. All right, where did we go? Wait a minute, wait. So, but mind includes more than just knowing, because in each moment of experience, different qualities or mental factors arise with it and color the knowing in various ways. So, for example, greed, hatred, love, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, among many others, are all mental factors arising and passing in different moments, each functioning in its own way. When we engage in various activities, different mental factors are at work. So in Nintendo, we need to be right there with the game or we lose. The mind needs to be steady and one-pointed, with the factor of concentration quite strong. In addition to concentration, another quality of mind plays a critical role: the mental factor of perception. Perception recognizes names and remembers appearances by picking out their distinguishing marks. Through the power of perception, we recognize each appearing object of experience: woman, man, pine tree, Abraham Lincoln, computer car, and innumerable others. Concentration and perception keeps us present and absorbed in whatever life game is happening. Meditation practice is different. So in order to develop insight and wisdom, we need to add the factor of mindfulness to the mental equation of concentration and perception. Mindfulness goes beyond the simple recognition of what is happening. It goes beyond keeping the mind steady. Though its strong power of observation, mindfulness, or through its strong power of observation, mindfulness uncovers the characteristic nature of the experience itself. So absorption in a movie or in Nintendo does not reveal the momentariness of phenomena. We do not see the impermanence and insubstantiality of all things and events, nor do we notice the empty nature of awareness itself. Perception, the concentration arise, and concentration arise in every moment. Even when the mind gets lost in thought, we still recognize what it is we are thinking. But only mindfulness reveals that we are thinking. This is a critical difference. Perception by itself does not lead to insight into impermanence and selflessness because it engages us in the content and story of what appears. Mindfulness emerges from the story and notices the moment to moment arising and passing of sense impressions, thoughts, and consciousness itself. If we understand these three important factors of mind clearly, concentration, perception, and mindfulness, then their coming into balance becomes the field of freedom. So again, just sharing from the book Insight Meditation by Joseph Goldstein. I'm going to read acceptance real quick and then pull a card real quick because there's about 13 minutes left. In teaching acceptance. In teaching meditation, we often advise students to develop a soft and spacious mind. But when I used that phrase while teaching in Australia, I found that soft mind meant to people there's something quite different from what I had intended. So it seems important to elucidate what we mean. We mean by soft and spacious mind the quality of acceptance. For example, suppose you are watching your breath in meditation and you feel a sense of struggle or tension. This feeling of struggle may be a sign that something else is happening in your experience that you are not recognizing or allowing. Perhaps you are not opening to some other sensation in the body, some discomfort or some underlying emotion. Or perhaps you've become caught up in expectation with so much effort or striving, wanting the experience of the moment to be different from what it actually is. Softness means opening to what is there, relaxing into it. At such a time, try this mantra. It's okay. Whatever it is, it's okay. Let me feel it. That is the softening of the mind. You can open your experience with a sense of allowing and simply be with whatever predominates, a pain, a thought, an emotion, anything. Softening the mind involves two steps. First, become mindfully aware of whatever is most predominant. That is the core guideline for all insight meditation. So the first step is just to see, to open. For the second step, notice how you are relating to whatever arises. Often we can be with an arising appearance, but in a reactive way. So if we like it, we tend to hold on to it. We become attached. If we do not like it because it is painful in some way, we tend to contract, to push away out of fear, irritation, or annoyance. Each of these responses is the opposite of acceptance. The easiest way to relax is to stop trying to make things different. Rather than try to create another state, simply allow space for whatever's going on. If you sit down after being busy and your mind feels agitated or chaotic, try just seeing that state for what it is and accepting it. You might frame your whole mind-body experience with the mental note, chaos. Instead of having an agenda to change the quality of your energy, you enjoy the use of the simple key to just open the energy that is there. This does not mean either spacing out or being entangled in your agitated thoughts, rather than through acceptance, we settle back into natural awareness of whatever's present. So, softening the mind is not so hard to do. It is largely a matter of remembering to do it. It's okay, just let me feel this. Then things settle down by themselves in a natural way. Struggle comes from not accepting what is present. Often in meditative language, we speak of letting go of things. We let go of thoughts, we let go of emotions, we let go of pain. Sometimes that is not exactly the right phrase because letting go suggests that you need to do something. A better phrase to work with is let it be. Let it be. Everything comes and goes by itself. We do not have to do anything to make it come, or to make it go, or to let it go. We just have to let it be. In order to let it be, we need to grasp a difficult but essential lesson for meditation practice, and indeed for all aspects of our life. Having pleasant feelings and avoiding unpleasant ones is not the purpose of our practice. The purpose of mindfulness practice is freedom. When we purify our mind of the afflictive emotions of greed, hatred, and delusion, we come to the end of suffering. So, the important thing in meditation is not whether we experience pleasant or unpleasant feelings, but rather how we relate to those feelings. If we relate with mindfulness, that is, simply noticing, simply observing, then in that moment of mindfulness, we are purifying our heart, because in that moment we are free from greed for the pleasant, aversion to the unpleasant, and delusion about what is really there. The meditative journey is not about always feeling good. Many times we may feel terrible. That's fine. What we want is to open the entire range of what is mind, what this mind and body are about. So sometimes we feel wonderful and happy and inspired, and at other times we deeply feel different aspects of suffering. It takes courage and determination to be willing to see all of these parts of ourselves. There are some dark corners in the heart that we may not have been willing to look at before or to explore. They will surely come up. Sometimes, even in the buildup of energy that happens in the practice, we can feel like an uncomfortable stretch. Such experiences of the unsatisfactory aspects of our life are all part of what meditation is about. Freedom cannot happen without them. The practice is opening, it is stretching, the most important, it is liberating. This lesson of right understanding is a very hard transition to make. Can you let in deeply right now this crucial knowledge that the practice is really not about pleasant feelings? Can you begin to undo the strong conditioning in your mind that tells you that only pleasant feelings are acceptable? What happens in the meditation is something different entirely from this ancient conditioning that keeps us bound to suffering. Through meditation, we open to both what is pleasant and what is unpleasant with genuine acceptance and balance. Years ago, I rented a little house for the summer months in one of the hill stations of India. It was a cottage high in the mountains, exquisitely beautiful and very quiet. There I planned to devote 4 months to meditation practice. A few weeks after I arrived, the Delhi girls, a kind of Girl Scout group, set up camp in a clearing below the house. They hooked up loudspeakers that blasted music from 6 in the morning until 11 at night. I couldn't believe it. I had considered complaining to the mayor of the town and wrote him many angry letters in my mind, but the din did not seem to bother anyone but me. It was a great challenge to my equanimity after going through all the struggles, all the anger, all the resentment. At a certain point, my mind surrendered. There was nothing to do about the situation. With surrender, it was okay. There was the sound, the noise. It was fine. Finally, I just let it be. And so I'm going to pause there because there's about 9 minutes left. So I'm just reading from the book, Insight Meditation, The Practice of Freedom. The next parts are not seeing dukkha is dukkha, understanding pain, feeling good, feeling bad, that sort of thing. This is part 2, and I'll continue this tomorrow. But in the meantime, I'm going to pull another card for reflection, and there's been 77 folks through here. 1,216 hearts, which actually feels really great. So I really like the sort of ability where this is my individual practice, but simply by opening it up, it can lead to other things. And it's really just a practice of being together. So this is going to go to everybody who kind of laid eyes on this. Brad joined earlier, and thank you so much. He sent, I'm not sure what these gifts and stuff mean, but I got a rose and I got a heart. I love that stuff. Gotta figure all that out. But I'm going to pull this card because it stood out to me. And it's the card of loss, grief, sadness, and resurrection. It's pretty powerful. I'll read it real quick so that there's time before the end of the... So this, these cards and this person dedicated this work to Gaia, which is goddess of the earth, my muse and inspiration. It is through her love, grace, and wisdom that my work comes into existence. So this was put together by this artist in 2013. So I just use it for reflection. There's a whole bunch. Card number 20. I'll just read real quick, just so for context, but it says about Gaia Oracle. So Gaia is from Greek, the goddess of earth. So the word oracle, which signifies prophecy, stems from ancient Greece and Rome. An oracle was traditionally a shrine where, through the medium of a priest or priestess, the gods and goddesses were consulted and prophetic advice was sought. The oracle is any person or thing believed to indicate future action. The ancient Greeks and Romans held strong spiritual beliefs and often sought advice from the oracle before undertaking any significant course of action. Throughout the past centuries, the oracle has taken on many forms and has reappeared in the form of card sets such as this one. So that's a little bit of... This is just a consultation, and I've got 3 minutes. I've got to be quick. And then I'll wrap it up. So loss, grief, sadness, resurrection. This card signifies a loss or disappointment of some kind. Perhaps a hope or dream that you had now seems destined to fail, or perhaps someone you love moves away, or a partnership seems likely to end. Yet this card also signifies resurrection, which means that the perceived loss will either not eventuate, or that you lose will, or what you lose will be returned to you in a new way or form. So Gaia, the Earth Mother, oversees this whole event, feeling her love, guidance this very moment. She's here for you and will never leave you, for Gaia and you are one eternally. So the wheels of life keep turning. Life is never still, yet transformation turns the wheel a little closer to the starting point. And once this point is reached, a new cycle begins, and the journey continues. There's no end without a new beginning. So the affirmation here: nothing is missing. Things simply change form. My life is forever transforming to ever greater love. The earth and I are one. I am forever protected and guided by love. Spiritually, there is neither beginning or end. Awesome. All right. So I got about 3 minutes to wrap this up. Reflecting on what we just read, or what I just read. You know, the idea behind insight meditation, so it's just the goal of taking time to be present, to be aware of our thoughts. The book is Insight Meditation and the Practice of Freedom. So in this, so far in this chapter, we're learning that really it's like the story we tell ourselves, catching what our attachments are, and then just really kind of like the acceptance of all the things, right? So it's the idea that you know, we're kind of preconditioned to think that everything has to be pleasant all the time, and that if something's negative or doesn't feel right, that we have to kind of reject it. Whereas insight meditation and the practice of doing that is to actually just radically accept that we're going to have all the thoughts and feelings and experiences. And it really isn't about what's right or wrong or good or bad. It's about what is being sort of prevented in our own sense of peace. And so one could argue, or I could argue, I do love a good argument, but I think peace is attained and freedom is attained from within our mind's eye, from within our thoughts. And then that's where, once we're able to, you know, plug into the internal, then we can start the practice and the dialogue of connecting to those things around us. And the act of meditation and discerning and practice is that it actually frees us up and makes us more available that way. So this has just been my practice. I'm Angus Wright. I also go by Angus by Design. I am a certified RAP advanced level facilitator. This is a program that incorporates all programs. It just reflects on our self-determination of our early warning signs things are breaking down, and then what we can do when we go. Thank you, everybody. Take care.